This is a trip/experience report about LSD. So, from my experience, acid can be both a mild heartwarming experience or an intense soul-bending, 500 million colours, 600 different physical feels, intense experience. I will start with what a heartwarming low-dose experience feels like. Should I do a low-dose? Yeah, I'll talk about a low-dose experience. So, at lower levels, it kind of produces just a kind of better mood, better awareness, sort of what I'd call interesting thoughts. And, it just makes you do some really strange things. I'll give an example of this. I remember an experience I had at my house alone. Remember that the acid I took, it sort of just shot me out a bit, made me more aware of sort of emotional issues and things going on. And I remember having a lot of concern for a close friend of mine. So I thought to myself, what should I do for this friend? Should I think? Should I feel? Should I call her up? And as soon as I thought to myself, should I call her up, I knew that's what I'd do. So I called her up to see if she's okay. I talked to her for about an hour. We went through the deep emotions, we opened up and cried, and we said goodbye. Now, this sounds like a pretty normal experience, but for me, I'm not such an emotional person, so actually or at the time I wasn't, so actually, it's not so normal, and it's strange that the LSD made me do that. Another thing to mention from this same experience to do with funny goings on and interesting thoughts is that phone call got me the idea that I needed to be on the phone. It got me in a very silly mood, and I decided I was going to call random people and organisations up to tell them that I was on LSD. So, I thought about in my head for a few minutes. I thought, who is the first person that I'm going to tell them on LSD? So I went on the interwebs. I looked on a website for a phone number, and then I decided that I would call up the CIA. I called up the CIA. They answered at their office. I told them I was on LSD. They told me that the line was busy and that they'd speak to me at a later date, and basically put the phone down. I think they thought I was just messing around with them, but it was pretty strange, to go from calling a friend to deciding, I know, I'm on acid, I'll call up the CIA. Second organisation was the British Embassy in Thailand. I told them I was on LSD, and I don't think they really understood what I was talking about. It was a Thai woman who was on the phone, and we exchanged some dialogue about, the British Embassy, and she asked me if I wanted to free a prisoner. So I asked her again, what do you mean free a prisoner? She said, are there any British prisoners that you are looking to free today? And I sort of mumbled to her, a bit confused, and decided this was too heavy for me, and hung up. Probably the LSD. In a normal state of mind, I might have tried to see what they were on about. Then I called up a Chinese company. Receptionist told me about herself in detail before hanging up, which was pretty cool, you don't expect to call up a company and have a random receptionist talk to you for 10-20 minutes about herself. But this is all because of the LSD. These are pretty strange things you wouldn't normally do. I mean, I called up a lot of weird religious organisations and told them I was on LSD and discussed, different religious ideologies with them. Which is, I guess this is an example of the silliness of low doses of LSD. I mean, as I said, it's pretty odd to call up the CIA and inform that you're on LSD, whether or not you are on LSD. But this isn't the same as a much higher dose experience would be. Now, an example I'll give you of that is one where I was just coming up. I was on my own again, just starting to come up. Not heavily yet, but I could tell that, I was getting somewhere. Colours were becoming a little bit more intense, but not noticeably. And I decided once again, I'll call someone up. I'll call a friend up. So I decided to ring my friend Courtney. She welcomed me with a strange, stretched out and slightly orgasmic hello. I told her I was on acid, And she just went crazy straight away, like no warning, just started laughing. I got confused, started laughing back, making weird noises, making funny eyes at myself in the mirror. And then, yeah, we progressed into animal noises, mooing, cackling, deciding to talk like seagulls. You know, it was really, really good fun, because I could feel all the little vibrations in my head, and I could feel like kind of warping of the sounds as she was on the phone to me, which sounds kind of weird, kind of bad, but it was really nice at the time. Then, it kind of took a weird turn. Like, she started talking to me about possible orgies and the power of human lust, and that we're all sexual beings and that we should all engage ourselves in these sexual things, which I understand is true, but it was a weird place for her to take me while I was on LSD. And she kept going on about all these sexual things that she's done and that I've done in the past and stuff like that. I kind of freaked out a bit, but I'm not going to lie, made me a little bit psychologically stimulated, not so much physically, but it was also very interesting just because I was on LSD. And we got into this conversation, and at the end of it she said, look, you're a very sexual being, and you're going to have your first ever female orgasm. And then she just fucking hung up. Like, I didn't really understand it, but okay then. So yeah, left me feeling really weird. Kind of turned on, not gonna lie. And yeah, just psychologically strange. I decided I just slapped myself in the head to give my brain a break. Looked outside the window and I could tell that I was starting to trip. Not really intensely, but I'm getting to an intense level. I can see colours being absorbed into car windows. I can see like the water has different colours going through. All the colours that are coming off the lights, I can see different colours coming off the lights. I can sort of see the edge of lights, like this light sort of shaking and changing colours and stuff like that, pulsating a bit. So it got a little strange. So I decided to look back into the room, and yeah, the colours became sharper and I could see them sort of coming off the wall as if they'd been projected a little bit off the wall. So I'm starting to get close to that. I decided that I had enough of being downstairs and feel weirded out, so I went into my room, lied down and got naked in bed. Just for a few minutes relaxed, enjoyed everything. I could hear sort of the sounds of pigeons and stuff outside my room. But then when I was naked, my mind wandered to other things. Probably bloody Courtney's fault. So, you know, I start messing around with myself. I start feeling the things. But it was weird, like it wasn't like normal. I could feel a lot of weird energy sort of pulsing through that area of my body. Just a lot of weird energy in general. I started to feel as though when I was masturbating, I was a woman and a man masturbating. I also felt like I was a woman and a man having sex. I also felt like I was a female couple having sex and a male couple having sex. So I felt like I was quite a lot of different things simultaneously, not at different points during my masturbation, all at the same time. I felt like these things, both masturbating on their own and together, and also having sex with each other. It was a very, very strange phenomenon. I felt as though I was all genders, and I also kind of felt like my penis was a vagina and a penis. It was a very, very odd feeling. A really good feeling, though. So I went with it. I went with it. I started feeling the pleasure, and to be honest, it was immense. Like, it was such a strange, far out feeling for me, just to be all these genders, all these people that I've never been before, all simultaneously as well, not as separate thoughts, separate feelings, all at the same time, feeling as if I'm all of them. It felt like, at times, kind of felt like it was eternal. And then, of course, I finished. I orgasmed for a few minutes, which is pretty abnormal for a male, and it kind of felt like, you know, a complete seizure of pleasure. It was pretty fucking amazing, man. Like, it's not something I'll forget. But it was strange, because when I orgasmed, I felt like all of these people had orgasmed. as all of the different genders. And I also felt like a baby being born. Yeah, it was an intense experience. I don't think I'll forget it. But this shows you, like, the difference in intensity. I mean, after this, like, I'm looking at the walls and such, and I'm seeing colours going everywhere. I'm feeling the room, like, warp into itself, seeing them be projected against things, getting proper open-eye visuals. But I remember closing my eyes and feeling like planetary-sized geometric patterns of visuals going inwards and outwards, shining lights, lights going through stuff, noises coming through stuff, noises that were colours. And that was sort of the difference. And like, I'd get overloaded in my head, and I'd get like a pulsing feeling, and it'd pulse thoroughly, and then stop, and it'd feel like a click, like a light click. I'll call this feeling a brain zap. So yeah, I guess this is much as I report on LSD for now. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for listening.